Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of our CSS Flexbox mini-series. Now in this video, this is the second to last video, we are going to be talking about flex wrap and order properties. And what these are used for is they're somewhat of miscellaneous properties. The flex wrap allows us to essentially wrap our flexbox into two rows, like if the sizing gets too small, for example, while normally a flexbox, as you've seen, is always one row. But sometimes you have cases where you want two rows instead of one, or you want as many rows as it requires, as long as the screen keeps getting smaller. And then flex order is actually allowing us to change the order of the items in our flexbox. For example, if our HTML says there's a home and then a page and then an about, or a home, a page, and about, well, we can actually play with the flex order property and we can make it page, about, home. We can actually flip-flop the order. And we can't just reverse it. We can also just move it in any way we want. We can make it about order home or about home order. We could put them in any order basically. So yeah, those are the two properties we're going to be going over. So I'm going to go ahead and start off by opening up our index.html and starting up our live server that we left off on. Once we're here, as you can see, we left off on this kind of web page that grows, where home is growing faster than about, and we can pretty much leave that. That should be fine. But we will be taking a look at our CSS here. So the first property we're going to take a look at is the flex wrap property. Now, in order to actually do this, I have to come up here to our flex container. You know, the flex container, remember, is the item that has a display of flex, and the flex children are inside the container. Now, by default, the flex container has a flex wrap property of no wrap. This is default again. It's just like flex direction row. It's also default. Like I could omit this and it would look the same, but I'm putting it just for completeness to show you all the hidden properties at work. But we can actually change flex wrap to wrap from no wrap. And notice as soon as I do that, this button actually wraps around. And then when I grow it past a certain point, it comes back onto one row. Now the reason for that is this flex basis, if you don't remember here, or it's not necessarily the flex basis, but it's just that these items do not have the space in order to live up to their full potential, to their full size as outlined in our CSS. So Flexbox naturally shrinks items when the screen gets too small. And that's when there's no wrap. So when there's no wrap, notice how the button keeps getting slightly smaller. Like, do you see right here, the button has a bunch of space, and then as I make the website smaller, the button starts losing some of its size. So notice that space in between the text and the sides is maybe a centimeter, and then when I fully upsize the website, now it's like 2 centimeters or 2.5 centimeters. So yeah, the button is actually getting getting like a little bit shorter because the screen is not big enough to hold it. So when we add a flex wrap of wrap, it'll actually just wrap the button around to a second row in order for it to keep its full length, basically. And that's what flex wrap is for. Now, another value to give this property is reverse, or wrap-reverse. And what that'll do is that'll go ahead and literally reverse the order so that all of the items are up here, down here, and then the button is up here, instead of a regular wrap where they'll be at the top and then the button will be at the bottom. And that is just a cool property to keep in mind. So yeah, flex wrap, it's fairly simple. Again, it's based on the natural sizing of our items. So for example, this button right here, we have right here the nav button. We're giving it a width of 150 pixels, but actually, notice if I make it like 10 pixels and I save this, you know, notice that that button gets really small. And on top of that, if I actually make our website slightly bigger, notice that, okay, we make it here so the testimonials fits, and then we just make it a tiny bit bigger, and the button will kind of come over here onto the first row. And that's because it only has a width of 10 pixels. But if we go back and give it its width of 100 pixels, it will now wrap over because it does not have enough space to fully be expressed, basically. So yeah, that is the gist of the flex wrap property. And then there is another property that is similarly applied to these home, about, like to all the items, and that's called the ordering. Now, as you can see here, we have home and about, And notice about is kind of like in the second position. Now by default, the best analogy I can think here is called sorting order if you've ever used the Unity game engine, but if not, I'll explain it. By default, all of these items here have have an order of 0, meaning they're all just baseline. Meaning like when they all have an order of 0, they'll be displayed in the order that they're defined in this HTML. So first there's a home, and then there's about, and then there's contact, testimonials, and cool button. And that's the order that they appear in our website. But, oh, whoops, if we change the order in the CSS, for example, let's give about an order of 1. Notice about will now be moved to the end. And the reason for that is that, again, all of these items, the home, contact, testimonials, the button, and about, all have an order of 0 by default. But at the moment an item gets an order larger than 0, or really, larger than another element, it'll automatically be moved to the end. So if I want to move home to the end as well, I can give it a 1, or that would move it to the second to last place. And then if I gave it an order of 2, then it would be moved to the end right here. Because again, the higher the order number, the farther in the back it will be placed. And that's pretty cool. And there's kind of just one more sort of mini concept that I want to talk about, and that is here in, I believe, flex direction here. Or no, my bad. That was the topic. Is over here when we're flex wrapping, we can actually give wrap as wrap dash reverse. And again, like I said, that kind of just reverses the order in which all of the elements are displayed. So yeah, this was pretty much a fairly short video kind of going over the flex wrap and order properties. If you want to see more videos in this series, go ahead and check out the playlist, which is linked in the description, where I kind of went over the many different details in the Flexbox. Like we learned how to make a Flexbox, we learned how to actually make items grow and make them shrink, and basically how to make them position themselves correctly. Like you can use this sort of model to now build a navbar, for example, which actually is what we'll be doing in the final video and the next video, which we'll be speed coding a navbar. So we'll be, going from scratch in an HTML document, and we'll be quickly creating that nav, creating all of the items inside, making the Flexbox, positioning everything so that we have some items on the left, some items on the right, and then maybe some items that grow or something like that. And we'll just be overall getting the full experience of building out a Flexbox layout. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications whenever I post new videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.